ignoring the motivations of the trans activists who killed 3 children and 3 adults at that Christian school in Nashville, and ignoring the mental health challenges of the man who killed 5 people and injured 8 others in Louisville. President Biden and the Democrats have returned to the same tired arguments about gun control and gun confiscation. But we don't need gun control. We need crime control. We don't need lectures about the liberties of law-abiding citizens. We need solutions to protect our kids.
My God. And another sick part of this convention is the timing of it. The annual conference came on the heels of the mass shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, and Louisville, Kentucky. Between the 2 massacres, 11 people died. And to top it all off, NRA leader Wayne LaPierre threatened politicians who dare speak up about gun violence, saying the following: gun-hating politicians should never go to the bed unafraid of what this association and all of our millions of members can do to their political careers. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So you want to talk about grooming children? How is this not grooming? So first of all, though, the threat that this man is making on members of Congress, that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this. So LaPierre. The other is for the vice president to be so out of touch. So in one breath, you say that you talk about these massacres and then you label all trans people. So that ain't lost on us right there. And then on the other breath, you say that, anybody that wants to take away, don't take away guns. We don't need gun control. We need crime control. We need an America that understands that the Second Amendment is not absolute and that this obsession with guns is getting people killed, literally. And it is sick. It is a sick obsession. And it's just politicians like Pence and the politicians that are at that NRA function, because when most gun owners are polled, they agree with common sense gun control. It is these politicians, it is the owner donors. And I'm gonna tell you something, LaPierre, he needs to be arrested because he just threatened, right? I mean, did I read his quote correctly? Let me do this one more time. Gun-hating politicians should never go to bed unafraid of what the association and all of our millions of members can do to their political careers. Hello, Department of Justice. That sounds like a damn threat to me. Now you got an organization that's all about guns and the freedom to use the gun any kind of way you want, to have military style weapons out there in the streets, just wholesale threatened politicians. I think he need to be picked up and investigated, Bennie.
No, like seriously, and this is one of those things, look, like people aren't willing to talk about this, but this is the harsh reality. Republicans for a very long time have had the silent approval and acceptance of like these terrorists, or the other way around, right? They give the silent approval to these terrorists. That's how they got abortion rights. That's how they got Democrats to stop talking about abortion rights, which ended up getting us a Roe v. Wade being overturned. Quite literally, you had all these extreme right wingers doing like bomb threats against Planned Parenthoods. Now they're doing it against anybody that is just willing to recognize the existence of trans people. They're doing it to drag shows and queer nightclubs and stuff like this, right? It's this constant threat of violence that exists from the right. The Republicans say, "Oh, we definitely don't like that," but they're not really doing anything against it. And like, what are the Democrats even doing on top of this to actually like deal with this? Where are the federal investigations to say like, hey, who's inspiring this? Could we throw incitement charges on some of the people that are pushing this? And the one note I really want to touch on, and this is what's so important, okay, is what Mike Pence said in that speech, like right at the end where he was talking about protecting our children. You'll notice that that's very disconnected from the data about children being put in danger by guns. Now, why is this? Now, this is where it's so important that people understand history, okay? And take a look at the tactics used by the Nazi Party back in 1930s Germany, because there are these 14 words that these right-wingers will say. They're these 14 words that the Nazis would say. And it's so funny how many of these right-wing politicians come as close as they possibly can to exactly quoting the literal Nazis on that when they're pushing this rhetoric against trans people, when they talk about crime, because you and I both know they don't care about crime. They don't actually care about real crime. They don't care about like corrupt bankers. They don't care about they don't care about like burglaries. They don't care about actual real life crimes, okay? When they say crime, we all know exactly what they mean. We all know exactly what they mean. We know who they want to send the police after. We know who they want to throw in jail, okay? And it's not people in the suburbs that are like smoking weed or anything like that, okay? It fundamentally, at the end of the day, it is just part of their white supremacist agenda, and their language reveals itself. But they just use enough dog whistles so that if I say what I'm saying right now, you have a million people who say, "Oh, you're reading into this too far." But it's really clear as day to anybody that has any understanding of history.
Yeah, no, it is, and everything about the NRA convention is disturbing. I mean, we are dealing with people, and this is not. The Second Amendment is one of the many amendments to the damn Constitution of the United States of America. But they treat that amendment, and a lot of these people, Benny, and I'm a Christian girl. I've shared this with the viewers. People have seen me all across the country, and even internationally. People know this. My mother was a minister, so I was raised in the Black church. I get it. And sometimes religion can be used to edify and lift, and religion could be used to harm. Got it. Let me put the harm part in the parking lot. This is the thing. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's a golden rule in the Christian context, and that whole golden rule is really connected to all the major religions. But see, they don't think about that. There's scripture in the Bible that says that when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I needed clothing, did you clothe me? When I was in prison, did you come see me? When there was random gun violence all over this country and mass shootings, did you do something to stop children from dying? And I'm emphasizing children because any civilized nation, Benny, any civilized nation would look at what has been happening across this country over decades to say that, you know what, it is tragic when anybody gets shot, in a way that's not, self-defense of somebody else's life. It's tragic. But we're gonna put some extra special tragedy on that when people are going to schools and killing babies, period, whoever they are. And this ain't about how anybody identifies. This is about gun violence is out of control. And part of the reason why it is out of control is because we are a gun worshiping culture. And I'm saying that to the so-called Christians, Ben, because I bet you the overwhelming majority of them mofos that was at that NRA identify as Christians. You see where I'm going with it? See, they identify as Christians. What would Jesus really do? The rebel that he was, the rebellious rebel, revolutionary, hanging out with the misfits, challenging the power structure of his day. What the hell would he be doing? He wouldn't be doing this. And that's the only reason why I'm using Christianity as the key example point here, because those people there consider themselves Christians and they sitting up here let babies tote guns and indoctrinating those kids and grooming them damn kids. And then they want to paint other people as the other, whether it's transgender, other folks. And as you said, when they talk about law and order, you might as well go ahead and say they talking about Black people in particular and then poor people in general. That is what we are dealing with. And I bet you, Ben, and I wasn't even there, but I bet you 99.9% of the people that was at that NRA convention were white. Guarantee you. And that's not to say there are Black people who believe in the Second Amendment. Got it. Because there was a time that these very same people didn't stand up for Black people's rights to carry guns. Look, we couldn't carry. Some of my ancestors came up a time they couldn't have a damn gun. These people are hypocrites, America, and they're dangerous. And any group that would say that their right to bear arms is more important than people to be able to bear life, to live, There's something wrong with them. And there's something wrong with these politicians who answer to these fools. The Second Amendment is no more important than any other damn amendment. And guess what? The framers couldn't have never even conceived. And I would love your thoughts about this. I mean, I don't think that the framers could have conceived. First of all, they was imperfect as hell like everybody else. So we ain't gonna talk about the racism, the sexism and all that, because we talking about guns. But Bennie, even if we put all that, I don't believe the framers could not have conceived of the dangerous nature of weapons in a 21st century context. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, literally, people forget the story of like George Washington sending in the army to make sure that, I forgot what state it was, but making sure that they paid taxes, right? Because they didn't want to pay federal taxes. And George Washington was like, yeah, we're gonna send in the army, make you pay taxes. If he would have got met with a bunch of random right wingers from today with like AR-15s, you bet the Second Amendment would have never made its way into the Constitution in the first place.
Yeah, no, that is a very, very, very important point.